Hey, deserving listeners, it's time to continue our journey watching 90 Day Fiancé. My name is Dr. Kirk Honda. I'm a therapist and a professor, and I'm going to react to this as I watch the show. Let's get to it.
She should to think a little bit before being involved to him. So I messaged her on social media, told her who I was, and I said I want to talk to her.
So Larissa is saying that she has an altruistic feeling for Colt's new girlfriend, Jess. And she wants to talk to Jess to help Jess understand the risks of being involved with Colt. So this is based on a feeling of caring, based on an altruistic feeling, worry for Jess's well-being. So let's see how this conversation goes.
Jessica, Colt is a demon. I know that everything's perfect with him from the beginning, but he changed and he turned into someone mean, you know?
I believe Colt's a good guy and good person.
Colt's like a whale that's everyone look and feel, oh, he's so cute, that animal, look. But he's very dangerous. And we are Brazilian, so she should to be worried that Colt can try to sabotage her style like he did to me.
Okay, so she is reaching out to Jess to warn her, and she says that Colt is a demon, and then Jess says, no, I don't think so. I think he's a good person. I guess the best way from Larissa's perspective, given her goal with this communication, is something along the lines of, yeah, I get it, and maybe things will work out with you. I have no idea. I can't predict the future, but I just want you to know that I thought he was nice at first, and then he turned into something else, and it was really, really bad for me. When I first started dating him, I would have wished someone would have reached out to me and told me about him, because that would have helped me. But I don't know, and you're free to, I just wanted you to know what my perspective was. What I'm worried about is that the two of them are going to get in an argument or something, instead of Larissa just saying, look, I just want you to know my experience, and you can take it or leave it.
Feelings, and don't have a good feeling about Jess. Will you listen to me? And in the situation.
You mean break up with her? Oh, no, Mom.
I wouldn't do it unless I had a really bad feeling. Everyone's going to be saying, for God's sake, lady, let him live his life. No, he already messed up. He lost that right now.
Interesting. So from her perspective, total speculation, what's going on underneath is she cares about her son. She loves her son. She worries about her son. She's seen her son go through some really horrible times with Larissa, and she doesn't want that to happen again. Also, hypothesis, she is desperate to have someone in her life, and Colt is the only person in her life, and without Colt, then she has nobody. It's just a guess. There's also, so with those two things, she's worried about him, which is understandable. Any mother would be worried about their son, no matter how old they are. And she depends on him in a way that we would hope that she would depend on other people in her life. Because Colt in this season, I haven't shown all the clips, but he's starting to say things in interviews of like, yeah, I don't know, my mom, she's real rigid about what she wants out of me, and I don't know if I want to do that anymore. Now, up until this point, Colt hasn't really been saying things like that. But as soon as he starts to use that language, now we're in a situation where we're looking at a high control relationship where the mother is, through emotional means, making him feel guilty if he doesn't do what she wants him to do. And then in this instance, she is doing that kind of again. So those normal feelings of worry for the son and worry for herself in terms of, if I lose him, I have no one. We would hope that she would have other people in her life, but at least that's perhaps where she's coming from. Total speculation. They're about to go to Brazil together so that he can continue to date Jess. And she's saying, if I get a bad feeling, I want some reassurance from you that you're going to break up with her. Even though you might not want to break up with her, I want you to agree that you need to break up with her. And that exhibits that those normal feelings that I'm speculating are there. She transforms those through some layering into control, into intimidation, into rigidity of, if you love me, you're going to do this for me, even though you don't want to do it, but this is for your own good. Colt has had a similar attitude that's exhibited this season with Jess. Things like, if you love me, then you will do this for me. You will comply with my directives because it's for the betterment of our relationship and it's for the betterment of you. I'm only controlling you because it's a good idea for you and you need to listen to me. So now we see Debbie doing that as well. It's interesting that perhaps we could have seen some signs in early seasons around that, but I was hesitant to label those because there wasn't enough data. But now we're starting to see that in this instance, Debbie is saying to her son, even if you don't want to break up with her, if I say you should break up with her, then I need you to do that. Now, I don't think that's working on Colt. But then again, he's bringing her to Brazil, even though I don't think he wants to bring her. So that points to perhaps a lifetime of that style of relationship where Colt feels like he can't break free or else. It's a habit or a structure to the relationship that he gives in to Debbie. Now, as with Colt's controlling behavior of Jess, coming from what I believe to be understandable emotions, I think it's true for the mom as well. That if the mom were to investigate those primary emotions and say, okay, one, I'm worried about my son, and two, I'm worried about myself. If I lose my son, then where am I? I have nobody. And then we could address those feelings in a more healthy way for herself. Like if she were talking with me and she agreed with this conceptualization, at least in part, I would say, okay, you're worried about your son. Great. What do you do with that worry? Do you control him? Do you invade his space? Is that the answer? Or do you try to teach your son the skills of how to evaluate life decisions for himself so you don't have to be there all the time? It's a very complicated topic, very complicated discussion that I've had with a lot of parents, regardless of how old their kids are. And the other thing of so without Colt, you have no one. How can we think about expanding your horizons? What are the barriers that are preventing you from expanding your support system? Now, I don't know, maybe she has 50 million friends and they just don't talk about it on the show, but it certainly doesn't seem like it, and we've heard nothing about that. And then we look at, okay, let's look at those barriers. What's getting in the way there? Is it self-esteem? Is it traumas? Is it shame? What's going on there that's preventing you from realizing your full potential of your support system? And then she wouldn't have to resort to control of her son to get her needs met. Hey, deserving listeners, as you know, I'm constantly recommending that people go to therapy. We all need therapy from time to time. One of the options available that is definitely worth checking out is BetterHelp.com. So if you're looking for a therapist, I would give it a try by going to BetterHelp.com/Kirk. Make sure you use the /Kirk because you get 10% off your first month and it helps us out. I get a lot of emails from you saying that you're looking for a therapist. As you watch these videos, I know many of you have been motivated to find your own therapist. But I know it can be really hard to find a good one to work with. Like I said, one of the options available to try is BetterHelp.com/Kirk. And you should know that this service is available to clients worldwide, which is amazing. I've been told that you can start communicating with your therapist in under 24 hours. You can message with your counselor anytime. Plus, you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions. And I've been told that it's often less expensive than in-person therapy. So go to BetterHelp.com/Kirk to get 10% off your first month of therapy today.
Take it slow. Don't come to me over there and say, oh, by the way, Jess and I are getting married tomorrow. No.
I don't know.
So this is interesting, actually. That style of communication that she's exhibiting. No. This will not do. Do not come to me later and say that you're getting married to Jess. No, that's just not going to happen. And instead of Colt saying, Mom, I'm a grown man, so I'm going to make my own choices on that. And frankly, I feel like you're a little too paranoid already. I feel like you're already against this woman, even though you haven't really met her. Or whatever he would say to push back on some level. But instead, he's just like, I don't know. So what does that tell us? Does that tell us there's been a lot of emotional intimidation on Colt since he was 2 years old that puts him into this pattern of giving in to his mom when he doesn't want to? What's going on there? And then that leads to a whole other setup, because when you do that as a child and you give in to an abusive or a controlling parent, the anger has to go somewhere. You have a lot of anger and resentment about that. And if you feel like you can't express it, you still have the anger. You still have the need for assertiveness, and it'll come out in a variety of different ways. So this is interesting, pretty interesting. And the fact that we didn't see that, or I didn't see this in the first 2 seasons, should tell us that when we're watching the show, it's unclear what we're not seeing and what's not being shown to us. If we watched Colt and Debbie for another 5 more seasons, I'm sure we would see more details that would illuminate more things. So what that tells us is at any given point when we're watching the show, at any given point when I'm working with a client, I always assume I know them to a point, but I don't know them as well as I will in the future. And so I don't want to get too comfortable in my conceptualizations of people.
I'm starting to feel like my mother isn't going to Brazil with an open mind. She needs to give Jess a chance because I don't want my mother being there to jeopardize my relationship with Jess.
So this is a total wacky theory that could be true that I've seen before, but I have no way of knowing if it's true for Colt. Remember how I was saying that when you're in a high control relationship early in life, you will have a lot of anger about that, but you can't communicate that because you'll get punished for it. So you learn to suppress the anger, but the anger has to come out in some other way. And we call this passive aggression. And the way that some young kids will deal with it is they will sneak into the parents' drawers and move stuff around, or they'll steal money from the purse, or they'll smoke cigarettes behind the school because they secretly are trying to express their anger towards their parents. They want to rebel, but they can't do it directly, so they have to do it in this very sneaky way, in ways that sometimes the parents never even perceive. That's the weirdness about passive aggressive in that personality type, is that you express the anger, you feel like you're getting the anger out kind of, but you're actually not even completing the loop. The person that you want to get angry at never even realizes that you're doing things to them because the anger is so hidden and so passive. So here's the theory. No way of knowing if this is true for Colt, but this would be an hypothesis I would explore. That he is dating women that he knows are going to challenge Debbie. He's dating women that he knows Debbie is not going to like. So that would be a very passive way at getting back at someone that you're very angry at. To date someone that will be, one, very angry at her, and you might even feed her information so that she would be angry, your partner would be angry at your mom, because you secretly, subconsciously want someone to attack your mom, but you can't express it directly because you're afraid. You might not even be able to feel it directly or feel it consciously. That's another thing that happens with a lot of passive aggression, is that when it's of the personality type, that because you are so afraid of your own anger, because when you did express it, very bad things happen, you end up, for some people, depending on the level of intimidation and control, you won't even notice that you're angry. You ask people that are passive aggressive, how angry are you? They'll be like, I'm not angry. In fact, I'm the least angry person on the planet. But deep down is a whole lot of anger, and it's coming out actively in various different ways, very hidden ways. So I don't know. That's a question that we'll add to the list of dozens of other hypotheses that one might explore if you were trying to help this family. That Colt is purposely dating people who will express his hidden anger toward his mother. Now, I'm extrapolating a lot based on extremely limited information. Maybe what we just saw was not indicative of high control from the mom. maybe it was just a little blip, in an overall healthy relationship. It's just hard to tell by watching a TV show that shows us little 5-minute clips of people's lives. All right, well, that does it for that episode in which I react to the show. Comment below, like below, subscribe below, hit the bell below, only if you want to. Never do anything just because I said it. By all means, become a patron of the podcast. If you like what I do, becoming a patron is really the main way. I know that you like what we're doing here. And everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.